Well, welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
Yeah, I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for joining with us today.
Yes, we're excited to head into this one.
We sure are. And Brandon, have we finally caught up with our general hospitals?
Yes, Mom, we sure have, and this is our 93rd Port Charles chat.
Oh, wow. That is incredible. Well, guys, we're talking about the week of April 13th through April 17th, and it is on April 25th, and we are ready to get started. All right, another great week for us. So this is the week that begins with Jordan recovering from her car accident. She finds out that she will make a full recovery. However, she does also find out that some of the scars on her face may not mend as she thought they would, and so she is really upset about this. Um, Phoebe arrives at the Quartermains, and need I say more about that? And then Sonny and Justine meet again, and Sonny finds out about Jordan's accident. Justine does let Sonny know that she is looking into it, but she does want Sonny to know that Jordan did have an accident. Um, Alexis and Rick have a wonderful discussion about Danny. Danny has indicated that he wants to join the mob, or so he has told Sonny this. And so Rick has been named as the person who is going to tell Alexis this information. So he does give this information to Alexis. Let's see, Dante tries to bond with Danny and Rocco. They go to the ball field and they have a nice conversation with each other. And Dante tries to figure out why the boys really haven't spoken to each other. But he's very encouraging and does everything he can to try to bring the boys together. Um, Willow and Nina have an interesting conversation because Willow confesses everything to her mother. And then at the same time, she sets her mother up because she has now touched the syringe that has been used to give Drew more drugs. Brandon, what were your thoughts about that scene with Willow and Nina?
That was certainly interesting. I mean, we saw at the very beginning of the episode that Willow, having just given the drugs to Drew, saying that more or less almost speaking to Drew as if, he can answer back, but of course she doesn't want him to do that. And it's like, well, we only have to do this because we need her to be on our side, and so Willow does the whole act of, oh my gosh, Mom, I'm so sorry. Am I a horrible person? Oh, by the way, I need to go take this phone call, even though my phone's on mute. Just give him his medication. And so I thought that was very smart on Willow's behalf. Makes you wonder if even all the crying bit was truly just an act. I'm sure she's glad to have Willow on Nina on her side, but truly only for the sake of now we have leverage over you, and now just need to find someone Drew.
Yeah, this is interesting. Willow's actually going to an ultimate low, incriminating her mother, and then she just she's doing a lot of things, and so it'll be interesting to see what the writers decide to do with her next. Brooklyn, now, I mentioned before that Phoebe did arrive, and Brooklyn is very happy, along with the Quartermains, to have this baby in their house. However, Brooklyn has found out about Jordan's accident, and Brooklyn has realized that she could possibly be the one who has caused this accident. There is apparently a scratch on her car, and she confesses to Tracy about all of this. Well, first she actually confesses to the baby, which I thought was interesting. But anyway, so she then confesses to Tracy everything that's occurred. Tracy says that she'll take care of her, and she's going to do everything that she can to make sure that no one knows about this particular accident, including taking care of the car. And then Tracy does tell her that she's not allowed to tell anyone, and that includes Dante. All right. Let's see. Nathan and Lulu go out and they bond again. Britt tells Lulu that being with Nathan is a mistake. They kind of meet they see each other at the same restaurant that Nathan and Lulu, I should say bar, where Nathan and Lulu are. Jocelyn and Nathan have an interesting encounter. Nathan is actually in the gym working out, and Jocelyn kind of comes and has a conversation about his family. And she asks a lot of questions about it. And then Jocelyn goes to see Valentine a little later and tells Valentine that Cullum is a double agent. Now, of course, Carly hears this too, and so they're still trying to figure out what to do with all the information. Britt goes to visit Cullum, and Cullum asks what Britt really does know. And then Laura and Ezra have an interesting conversation because um, Ezra has kind of an out, or I should say, is on the out with Sidwell. However, he is still working for Sidwell at the same time, and Ezra gets drunk. And Laura does see him, and she does invite him back to her place, where they do have a conversation later about what Ezra has gone through and what Sidwell is holding over him, and how they're kind of and how he has to work for Sidwell. Um, Willow actually goes. Willow actually has a lunch date with her son, and then Willow, while they're on the lunch date, Jacinda kind of walks in. Of course, Wiley goes straight to Jacinda and thanks her for helping him get an A on his project. Willow does not like this. Apparently, she's a jealous type of mother. And so, anyway, Willow does not like this. And Willow kind of goes after Jacinda, and they kind of have it out. Valentine then goes to visit Nina, and they talk a little bit about Brennan, and then Michael and Christina talk about Willow, and Michael also believes that Willow shot Drew, and he says that he's going to get some proof for this. And last but not least, Ethan returns. All right, Brandon, what did I leave out?
I think that was the gist of it for this week that we're discussing last week.
All right. All right, let's get to the fun things. Let's talk about our performers of the week. All right, Brandon, are you ready for this performer of the week?
Sure, let's go ahead.
All right. I have two performers of the week. The first one is Phoebe, because she was just cute. She, you know, she nodded as her mother told her about everything that's going on in her life. The family loves her, so I just thought that Phoebe was the performer of the week. The second person I thought was Ezra. I thought Ezra did a great job of acting this week. I love the conversations that he had with Laura. I was amused by the conversations he had with Sidwell. And he just seemed troubled, and you could tell he was troubled. So I thought Ezra did a great job acting. All right, Brandon, who are your performers of the week?
Well, Mom, I really like yours, especially with Phoebe. I thought that was very appropriate, but I had chosen Dante.
Okay, yeah, Dante did a wonderful job too. Why did you choose Dante?
I loved his camaraderie with the children. I'm sure we'll discuss that a little bit later. And that, I mean, he's truly putting the dad hat back on, even though I suppose that role's been sort of taken away from him for the last year and a half.
Yeah, well, Jason was back, but Dante's always looked out after Danny.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, now I have my amusing scenes of the week. And for me, I had three that kind of stood out. One was Alexis and Rick. When Rick went to go see Alexis and just mentioned that Danny wanted to join the mob, the look on Alexis's face was just unbelievable and unforgettable. And so I thought that was kind of an amazing scene. So that was good. And then Drunk Ezra was amusing too. Just to listen to him as he was bantering with the waiter, and then the look on his face when he saw Laura. I mean, that was my amusing scene for me. And then Sidwell's rant. Sidwell went on and on about the people he thought he could trust or believe in, and then he said how disappointed he was in every single one of them, and that included Ezra too. And Ezra was there to hear all of it, and so I was amused by that. All right, Brandon, what are your amusing scenes of the week?
Well, to add on to yours before I go into mine, so I
Uh-huh.
also liked how Sidwell said that the only good thing that Drew ever did for him was to have a stroke. And I just thought that was hilarious, especially given that that's not even what happened to him. So,
Yes. Yeah, I was rather amused. And we both watched that scene two or three times. So, yes, we were amused by that.
but yes, but to add on some of mine, when ADA Turner and Sunny got together, she'd say, I think that there's hundreds of reasons as to why we shouldn't. And the only one she could come up with is that he has bad Wi Fi.
Well, it's not good to have bad Wi Fi.
Yes, but don't worry, he has good wine, so apparently that those correlate.
Yes. Yes, they do.
But yes, two others from this week was that at the end of the week, Valentine being there in Nina's apartment and him saying something along the lines of like, "Welcome home, honey," or something like that. That I thought was amusing. And then Dante getting injured trying to simply hold a bat.
Yes, I understand that though. But yeah, it was actually one of the nice, fun, lighthearted weeks on General Hospital in regards to some of their scenes, especially since they've had a couple of weeks of just intense acting. All right. Then we had our touching scenes of the week, and for me, it was Alexis and Diane was one of the touching scenes, and then I had Ezra and Laura because even though they were part of my amusing scenes of the week, um, at some point in time, Laura and Ezra did have a deep discussion, and that was done at Laura's apartment or house or whatever she lives in, and I really like them together. And then Dante does try to bond with Danny and Rocco. And it was both amusing, like you said, but at the same time, it was very touching for Dante. And I really liked that he was trying to get the boys to bond together, that he was trying to bond with them also. All right, Brandon, did you have touching scenes of the week?
Yes, I definitely want to speak about those. And I will say, to elaborate more on the Dante and Danny and Rocco one, is that to me it felt like an older version of General Hospital, if you will. Not necessarily in a bad way for the show, but like the show of about 2 years ago, back when Sam was still around. Because I do remember all those scenes that Dante and or Sam would have with the children at the baseball field. To see that again definitely brought those memories back up, especially since we don't really see Dante in that parent role anymore. I mean, even though he had taken care of Rocco for all these years, he's always with Lulu now, so you don't really even see that camaraderie anymore. So it was just really nice to see. And then I do like seeing a more human side of Ezra Boyle with Laura. Look out, Kevin.
Yes, look out, Kevin. All right. And then there's other one of my scene I want to mention, and just because I didn't put it under amusing scenes, I just found it a scene that was kind of like okay, and that is in regards to Carly and Lucas. They had a long scene where they were fixing food together. At the end of this scene, they showed the plate of food in which Carly was making. I was rather amused because as much chopping as Carly was doing, there was not enough on that plate. So I don't know if any of you guys catch it or what your thoughts were. Brandon, do you remember seeing that scene?
I don't remember that, but I do remember the giant sort of box of pasta. It's not. It doesn't look branded, so I don't presume it's product placement. But if it was, I mean, it was just sitting there like it's the only thing in blue that is on our counter, so it stands out.
Yeah, it stood out, and watching Carly chop whatever she was chopping stood out too. And I was kind of amused by that because, of course, Carly doesn't cook. So just watching all that together was kind of entertaining. But anyway, y'all have to let us know were there any other entertaining scenes or amusing scenes this week that you like. All right, we got a couple welcome backs for this month. We've got welcome back to Ethan. We have welcome back to Wiley. Ned and Olivia made a point of coming by too, so it was good to see all of them together. So welcome back to all of them. Did I leave anyone out, Bran?
And we had finally had Phoebe back again.
Oh yes, Phoebe. How could I forget Phoebe? Welcome back to Phoebe. All right, and then we have some where are yous. First of all, Elizabeth was missing this week, and let's see, Molly and Trina and Kai were all missing too. Any other people that stood out to you who were missing?
I'm gonna say, where has James been and Maxie's whole family? They just disappeared.
Yeah, that is true. Maxie's whole family did disappear. James has disappeared, and yes, the whole family over there disappeared. All right. And like I said, Ethan came back this week, which is fun to watch. I didn't realize how much I missed him. I know Brandon didn't watch during the time period when Ethan was on previously, but he always has been a fun character to watch, especially when, of course, when his father was there, who was Luke, watching them kind of get together and bond. And I like the way that Alexis. I don't know if no Alexis hasn't done this yet, but I like the way that they have brought him in and how they will actually in the future, because we have seen next week's, how they would kind of explain his past to General Hospital itself. And so it makes you wonder, what is Ethan there to do? And so I had a couple thoughts about Ethan. Brandon, let me know what your thoughts are. My thought about Ethan is that, of course, that Delilah was his girlfriend, because he said that he was trying to meet someone and he was going to wait on the docks until that person came. He would be there, for apparently every time for a few days at this particular time period. But anyway, and so my thought is that Delilah was his girlfriend or wife or whatever, and and that the baby, that Phoebe is actually his. That's just my thought. And I'm also thinking that he is involved somehow with Sidwell. Now, whether or not he is involved in the sense that maybe he is now WSB, because why not? They seem to be hiring criminals now, or whether or not he is involved with Sidwell on another side of it. I think he's on the, but I have a feeling he's on the good side. So that's just my thoughts about Ethan. Brandon, do you have any thoughts about Ethan?
No, I, mean, I definitely think something's up. Maybe not as sinister as the show would want us to believe, but certainly, I don't know. I'm hoping for sort of a twist with this, where it's not in the way that we're expecting. Rick, well, in general, the show is sort of pointing us towards maybe he's doing something against Sunny. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do anything against Sonny. I think he's working for the good people. That's what my thought would be. But as Ethan, you just never know. He never quite does anything, if I remember correctly, that did harm to people. He just was a con man. So, and con man more so for money per se, con man, which kind of makes me think that he is doing something that on a higher level per se. But anyway, so that is my thought about Ethan. All right, Brandon, any other thoughts for you for this week?
Well, in looking up Ethan, so the last time he was a regular on the show was all the way back in 2012.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
But yes, but this actor, he last appeared in 2020, and they had a different actor temporarily play Ethan in 2023.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we thank everybody for watching today.
Yes, we thank you for joining us. And Mom, fun fact, this is our 351st video on our channel.
Oh, that is amazing, Brandon. It's hard to believe we've done this, and it's only been hasn't even been 2 years yet, if I remember correctly.
Yep, 2 years next week.
All righty. Well, we thank everybody for watching.
And we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Have a great day, everybody.